Hello, my friends, and thank you all so much for joining me today. Very, very interesting topic of discussion for you all, and that is about how we receive communication and how to understand them a little bit. Because when you are, all this communication that we get both internally in ourselves and then externally. Externally, the communication is infinite. There are a billion different ways that they will communicate with us: animals, numbers, colors, crystals, other people. It is so vast, the amount of ways that they will communicate with you. TV shows, music, all of them are ways in which they will communicate with you. However, internal you, there are only a few. And even though there are only a few, it can sometimes get very tricky to understand how they are talking to you or what they are saying. And today we are going to help you as much as we can figure out the different ways that they are communicating through you. But then, are they using metaphoric representations, or is it a literal representation of what they're talking about? And really, that's where we run into some confusion. Is this a literal representation of what's being communicated, or a metaphoric one? And um that's where practice and repetition really, really helps, because the way they communicate with me is so different than how they communicate with another. My third eye, although open, is not the primary communicational method that they use for me. So therefore, most of my communication doesn't come that way. But we are going to start with the third eye. And the third eye is such an important chakra to open. Once you do open it, or if you already have it open, it's important to understand how they do work through it. And as we stated in the beginning, they do use literal representations and metaphoric ones. What we need to do is go in as much as possible and begin to decipher how they are communicating with us. So one thing I do recommend is communicating with your guides and asking them specifically what it is they are trying to say. So I'll give you an example here. But before I do that, I do want to tell you another thing. Every person on this planet is getting communication in some sense, whether it be internal or external. However, I will also tell you that sometimes low vibrational beings are trying to communicate with you and trying to, I say all the time, pinprick you. Low vibrational beings want to pinprick you and want to get inside. They want you to follow them. So that's something to be aware of. Now, it doesn't matter if you open up or don't open up, they're going to try. They're going to try to pinprick you. So why I say that is because I don't want you to say to yourself, "Oh, I don't want to deal with low vibrational energies or entities, so therefore I'm not going to open up." It doesn't matter. They are already going to try to work with you, whether you want to or not. So the only difference between mediums and people that don't open up is the fact that we intentionally try to understand the energy, whereas people that don't open up don't necessarily understand what is all happening here. They don't understand their chakras, or they don't understand the communicational methods that are happening to them. Therefore, there's a lot more confusion and a lot more misunderstanding. But that's where people like us come in, because all of you, no doubt, are getting communication. So we're going to help you understand it a little bit more. All right, third eye, literal representation. A literal representation is, they're pretty easy to understand because there was one time I saw a ship it looked like there was this explosion, and I could see the ocean, and I could see this explosion, and you could almost discern that there was a missile being shot from the ship. And I had no idea why I was being shown this, but I was. And the next morning, that happened to me in the middle of the night. I routinely wake up in the middle of the night, and I will meditate. And I was shown this ship, and I woke up in the morning, and sometimes I like to read the news in the morning online. And the first thing, one of the first news articles that I saw was that there was a missile fired from a ship, and the missile, they showed an image of it being fired from the ship, created the exact image that I saw that night. So that was a literal representation of a third eye vision that I was shown. Now, what I will tell you is I have no idea why I was shown that, but I was. And I take it personally as this was a representation of my third eye being open. One thing you want to be aware of is not to get caught up in the why and the hows and all that stuff. You don't want to get bogged down on that finite detail. What you want to understand is, okay, I'm open. Now you have to be in the know. Know is, I know I will receive the answers when I'm meant to receive them. So if you don't understand a reason that you received a communication at that moment, and you're continuing to ask, why am I getting this information? And you're not really getting the answer that is satisfactory to you, or providing you with the understanding that you want, then you have to be in the know of understanding that I will get it when I am meant to get it. And be happy with that, because as we say all the time, the journey is so important, and there's so much joy and growth that comes in the journey, so much pleasure, so much fun. And yes, this is fun. That we can't get wrapped up in the end game, appreciate that journey as you're going through it. um Other literal representations are images of dimensional beings that I've seen. I have seen many ascendant masters. Enoch. I've seen Enoch a number of times. Jesus a number of times. Mother Mary, Anubis. I have seen them all. A literal representation of Anubis I saw. Now, what he did when he first showed himself to me was he appeared as an angel, and I assume what he was trying to do was, because I had no idea who Anubis was to try to help me understand that he was there for my highest and greatest good. So he showed himself as an angel, and then as soon as I recognized him as an angel, I recognized the angel, he immediately shifted to his Anubis form, which is the jackal head and the human body. And I was completely confused. I didn't know what the heck just happened. I actually thought it was a low vibrational entity who was attempting to lower my guard, and so that I would let him in. That's what I thought was happening. But there is never fear, never fear it. You always, every situation is just that. It's a situation that you can learn from. And that's how you really want to take all communication. It's a lesson that you can learn from. So yeah, he showed me the Anubis self, and I had no idea what the heck just happened, but I took it as a low vibrational entity who was trying to get in. That image stayed with me for weeks, and eventually I had a conversation with someone that I told them about it, and they said, "Oh, that sounds like Anubis." And when I looked it up, it was exactly that, Anubis, and turns out that he was my ascendant master guide, at least for the time being. I really haven't been dealing or working with Anubis in quite some time, but either way, they were literal representations. So my point in telling you that these specific stories is because sometimes, even though it's a literal representation, you don't understand it at the moment. It could be confusing even then, but you don't hold on to that confusion. You hold on to knowing, again, that it'll be um, answered when the time is right. And after I found out it was Anubis, we formed an extremely close and very beneficial relationship, at least to me. So the next one is metaphoric representations. And one thing that I'm going to tell you here is very critical to understand, and that is the realm that you are receiving communication from is important. Now, you might not know that immediately, but it is very, very important to understand that it is a factor to be aware of. And I'm going to give you an example, a couple of them here, because this is important. Metaphoric representations are sometimes hard to understand. A metaphor could be out of nowhere, you see a crab. All right. A metaphoric representation, that could be a metaphoric representation for you feeling at peace in your home. It could be a metaphoric representation for perseverance. And this is where communication with your guides, as well as also research, will help. So people with an open third eye, they could see um a tree, and that could in just an image of a tree, and that could be a representation of um sturdiness, of family. It could be, honestly, it could be any number of things. But what we need to do, you, as you are someone that is opening up your gifts, developing your gifts, what you need to do is start communicating with your guides and asking them questions about this, but also understanding that your own discernment, what you feel when you see it, is important and should be acknowledged and used as a potential meaning. So if I see a tree and I think right away, um, you pay attention to, am I seeing the leaves? Am I seeing branches? Am I seeing no leaves on the tree? Is it bare? Um, all of that is very important to is important to take in all that information, because each of it has its own representation of what it could potentially mean. Um, was it a tree that fell over? Was it a tree that was up? And could you see its roots? Could you see the ground, or could you just see it in the air, like the top of it? All important understandings to take in, but understanding that it is a metaphor for what they're trying to tell you. Then, once you understand that it's a metaphoric representation, understanding that or finding out the meaning could take time. So do your research, talk to your guides, and then um know that it'll come when the time is meant. Also pay attention to how you feel or felt when you saw it, and you can tell them, hey, this to me means whatever it is it means to you. It means strength. And you tell them. So for now on, when you want to talk to me and you're using my third eye and you're using a metaphor and you show me a tree, I am going to interpret that as strength. And then there you go. So then they also now have some guidelines to work with you, because your rules are just as important as their communicational methods. So establish rules, you tell them what you want, and they will communicate with you to help you establish what they want. And you guys meet in the middle. Absolutely, absolutely possible, and happens all the time. Mediums do that regularly. All right, the next one is dreams. Now, dreams, are not always dreams. If you're having vivid dreams and you're spotting some pretty finite detail or exceptional detail, that's probably not a dream. That's probably an entity or an energy that is trying to talk to you, telling you a message. Now, this is the thing. And again, the level of the spirit that is talking to you is important here and is an extremely is a factor in this communication. All right, so a dream. I had a dream the other night. It was a dream where I was standing in a pond and I knew there were fish all around me. Just like the literal and metaphoric representation, dreams are very similar. Every time I looked into the water, I could see the tail of a fish, but I could not tell what fish it was. I could not see the fish. I just kind of saw a fish swimming by, and I knew they were touching me. I knew they were around me, but I couldn't see them. That to me represented the spiritual realm around me. I know they're here. I know they're communicating with me. But I can't see them most of the time. So then I turned my light on and they all scattered. I saw there were no fish around me anymore. And I I just couldn't see anything anymore. And I knew they weren't touching me. But again, a metaphoric representation of me turning my light on, darkness can't touch me when I turn my light on. That was a metaphoric representation to me. That's how I interpreted it. But there was an interesting thing. When I turned my light on and I put my head into the water, this all happened in the dream, I could see crabs. And that's why I brought up crabs earlier. Crabs, again, I told you what they meant earlier. So I thought that was very interesting. But it was all a dream. However, it was communication from above letting me know. Now, the next thing is I was talking about vivid dreams. And I say, and I mean this, they are not dreams. When you have a very vivid, quote unquote, dream, but just because you're in a dream state doesn't mean anything. Spirits, as I said, are always communicating with us, and they use our sleep time as an opportunity to communicate with us because your mind is at a deeper state. You know, it's at a state you are consciously able to receive and actually be aware of. So sometimes they will show you situations. And what do I mean by that? Typically, now, how do I phrase this? When I'm working with archangels, ascendant masters, spirits that have crossed over that are here for my highest and greatest good, typically they will sometimes walk me through a situation. And for instance, would be my grandmother. She passed away several years ago. And yet one time she, in my dreams, which wasn't a dream, it was a visualization that she put into my mind. I could see she was sitting around the table and everybody was talking, but she was just sitting there quietly. And I noticed that, and I went, and I knew in the visualization that my grandmother walked me through, I knew she was dead. And I said to her, Mom, I can see you. Can anybody else see you? And she shook her head, no, but she wouldn't talk. And then I said, can I hug you? And when I went to hug her, she disappeared and the image broke. So when you are seeing a very vivid dream, no, it's not a dream, but also sometimes they're just letting you know that they are watching or around. So like in that situation, my grandmother was letting me know that she was there. and that the others could not hear her, but I knew she was there. And that was a representation, a metaphoric representation for, or a literal representation for her being there, but no one else being able to see her except me. But that was just because they haven't turned on their gifts. If they were to, they would, I'm sure, be able to communicate with her differently. Now, there are situations when low vibrational energies will reach out to you and try to do things to you. Again, I don't tell you that to fear or encourage fear. I encourage you actually to understand that they cannot do anything to you without your desire. So you only have to proclaim your light, and they will go away. Call upon Archangel Michael and Jesus to help you remove those energies. So, I'll give you another, for instance. The other night, about 2 weeks ago, I was doing light work for somebody who called me for help. And I was working with their energy. And as I was working with their energy, an entity came to me and shifted my third eye from the visualization that I was walking myself through onto something that was lower in vibration. And it was, so they took me into I'm trying to remember the story now, actually, the visualization. I'm kind of having a brain freeze at the moment, but I know that's for a reason. There's a, because I intentionally wanted to speak of this story, and right now my mind is blocked, so I know something's happening within me to not allow me to tell all of that story. And I don't know why, but it's not something that I can get hung up on. So what I will tell you is that when this entity came to me and shifted my third eye, it took me into different places. And oh, that's what it was. Okay, it's coming back to me. Okay, the first images that it started to show me situations was that it started to show me my cousin that passed away several years ago from cancer. And then it started to show me my aunt and uncle who are living, but also said that they had cancer, which they don't. Then I saw the doctor who was treating my cousin, and he started to develop cancer, but his face started to shift, like transform right in front of me. Like his eyes started to droop down, his one eye started to go up, his hair started to fall off, his head, his teeth started to fall out of his mouth. And I'm like looking at him saying, this is something's weird here, you know? And then it shifted, the whole image shifted, and I went into a house, into a mansion. And in the mansion, I saw a kid, a child right in front of me, sitting on a little baby bench, and he was talking to a statue. I'm like, that's weird. Then these doors all around me started to open and shut by themselves. Again, weird. But this is where fear cannot be an option. This is where you have to be completely confident in who you are as a light being and know that you are always protected. Now, the next thing that happened was I saw two entities right to my right. One of them was a skeleton with black hair, a little, I guess like a girl, a little girl with black hair and a skeleton with a white dress over her. And the other entity, I couldn't see her, but I knew that they were there. Couldn't make out any features. And I knew immediately that they were trying to scare me. And as I turned to her, I looked at the skeleton and I just went, no. And I dropped to my knee and I started to pray to Archangel Michael and Jesus Christ. And I asked them to remove this entity. And it did. And as I was coming out of this meditation, I could feel this presence all over me. It was heavy, but it was going away because of the prayer. Why I'm telling you this is because as I was doing that light work, there was an entity who was attached to this lady that I was doing the light work for. That entity then came to me. Now, this entity was not trying to hurt me. but it was trying to scare me and kind of give me a little pinprick because it wanted to come in with me. But I didn't let it, obviously, because of the prayer, and everything broke and it went away. Now, that is an example of a low vibrational situation and a high vibrational with my mom that could potentially happen in your third eye vision and an entity taking it over. My point here is that very vivid visions that you have while in a sleep state are not visions. I'm sorry, are not dreams. They are visions and a representation of an entity that was trying to communicate with you. And sometimes they're trying to scare you, and sometimes they're just trying to let you know that they're there. Take it for what it is, and fear is not an option. So always know that you are in the light and that they can't do anything that you don't want them to. I am getting really hot right now and like really weak, tired, but I don't know why that is. Anyway, next one is so they are the different situations that I have seen, some, just only a couple of that I have seen in my third eye. I'll actually give you another one. I was doing one of my friends, I was doing a session for them, and months later their friend that had passed away came to me in the middle of the night and was talking to me. And as she was talking to me, she appeared to me as almost like an angel. She had wings and she was flying, but she was all golden white light. And that was a metaphoric representation of her. Not a literal one, because I don't know what she looks like. And to this day, I don't know what she looks like, but she continuously comes to me and will tell me she's there. She'll give me messages for my friend that I give to my friend, and they're all accurate. But she only shows herself to me as a metaphoric representation of her soul. So she'll show me golden white light, and like I said, a being with wings on it that's just flying around. I can never make out her human form. I've never seen it. My cousin, actually, sometimes communication, especially from low vibration, can be misrepresented. So sometimes they will take a being, they'll take a representation of, so I've had entities lower in vibration come to me and try to show me my cousin, like I said, that passed away. They'll try to show me her, and and kind of like try to use her as a way for me to lower my guard. But if you establish rules and you truly live by those rules, you have nothing to worry about. And for instance, there is 2 rules. I will only communicate with those that walk in God's light, and I will only communicate with spirits that are here for the highest and greatest good of all. And I always repeat those rules. So if you develop rules like that, it will help you, it'll benefit you greatly if you repeat them over and over and over and over again, to the point that it is so ingrained in your cells, the cells of your body, that you say them and not even think about it. It's just instinctive. It just comes up naturally, so that when a spirit comes to you, you immediately go, are you here for my highest and greatest good, or do you walk in God's light? Those 2 questions are so important to me, but you can come up with your own if you like. So those are some representations of metaphoric communication and literal communication, and dreams versus situations, and how the spirit world will communicate through that third eye, as well as low vibrational beings. So the next one that we have, though, is feelings and that clairsentient ability. That clairsentient ability is one of the first gifts that will develop if you are trying to open up to the spiritual realm. And it is so everyone feels things differently, and everybody feels things with a different level of depth. I used to have a friend who feels with really, I mean, there is such a depth to her feelings. Whereas me, I don't. I don't feel with that depth. Um I channel with that depth. I have a deeper level of understanding, whereas they get more of the understanding through the feeling. I get more of it through claircognition and the ability to like separate myself and kind of look at a higher perspective. That's when it comes to feelings, that's how I operate. But others feel with such depth. Now, what I will tell you though is that there are so many different facets to feeling. You can get subtle vibrations in your legs, in your arms, in your head, uh, all over your body, really. You can get these little vibrations. You can literally feel the being touch you. You can feel sense of what do you say? Like you can feel, as I was saying earlier, with that entity that was on me, I could feel that all over my body. It was a heaviness that was all over me. Um, so feeling is you really this is a there's this one is nothing, it's not easy to discern. What you really have to do is pay attention to when you feel something. Here's a for instance. If I feel something on my left side, that is my mother's side, female side. But it could mean mother or it could mean female. On my right is the opposite. It could be either my paternal side or a male side. So it all depends on who's actually doing the communication with me. When my mother, my mother, when my grandmother comes to me on my dad's side, now she's literally touched me, but she will touch me on my right side to let me know that, hey, it's me. Um, and I can verify that because it's on my right side, so I know it's my dad's mother who's communicating with me. Now, what I will tell you though is when I'm getting angelic or archangel or ascendant master communication, I feel that in the middle of my head and it runs down the middle of my head into my spine. So that's how I know it's in the middle. It's a higher dimensional spiritual being. There are other times. Now, what I will tell you is when you feel something, it is very, very important to go to a higher being that you are already working with. So, say you lost your grandmother, like I did, and your grandmother is helping you. You know that she's your guide. That's Go to her and ask her if she can help you. Is this an energy or an entity that I want to be dealing with? Ask somebody that you trust before you ask the entity that is currently communicating with you, because as you know, and as we have said, sometimes an entity, lower vibrational entities can lie and be dishonest. So um you want to go to a spiritual being that you already have a relationship with and that you trust to ask those types of questions to find out whether or not the entity that is communicating with you right now is someone you can trust. Now, once you feel something, there are times when you'll feel something and you know something is here, but you might not be able to discern whether or not or what they're doing. So, like, sometimes you just know they're there and that's it. You don't know why, you don't know what they're trying to do. You can just feel it. And that, again, is where you have to know, and I use that in quotes, know that the information will be provided to you if you must know, or if, or when you will know when you're meant to know. So, ask the question but then be patient with the response, knowing that you'll find out when you are meant to. Sometimes I was in a meditation one time where, actually a lot, I was meditating and I could feel something enter my room. I was meditating on my bed and something walked into the room and I knew it. I could feel it. You just feel that presence. Now, that is a presence that I wasn't sure what it was, whether it was good, not good, didn't know anything about it. And honestly, I really don't even waste my time with stuff like that. I immediately will go into my protective state and call in the beings that I trust and say, okay, is this something that I want to communicate with? I won't sit there and focus on that energy for too long. I immediately go to my higher source for clarification and discernment. And once they provide that to me, then I will go and either interact with it or remove it. Now, here is one that's very interesting about feeling. There are times. So if you are a medium and you don't even know it, because that's possible and highly likely, if you're getting communication from a third dimensional level or on a third dimensional level. And what do I mean by that? A lot of my communication comes from ascendant masters, archangels, and guides. A lot of other mediums get communication from spirits that are here, that lived here, and they get that energy well. Even if they crossed over, they're still, the medium is picking up that communication from this dimension. So they get information about that spirit when they were living. I don't get that information very well, but when you do get it, sometimes that is felt through anxiety. And a lot of people that have a lot of anxiety, I will tell you right now, are most likely getting communication from a third dimensional level. And they don't understand it. Also, depression in some instances could be felt from an entity. You'll see a lot of and this is a paradigm that we really need to shift within our society. You will find people at a young age that see things and hear things and feel things, and we like to label these people as being schizophrenic or delusional or having hallucinations. And what we don't understand as a society is that these people, many of them, are receiving communication, but it is the level of communication that they are receiving that is affecting them so much. Third dimensional energy is very heavy, and the communication that comes from it is not always, it doesn't feel good, if I could say. Here's another representation or another example. I was doing work on another individual, doing some light work. And when I was doing the light work, an entity came to me. When that entity came to me, it was a third dimensional energy, I knew, but it didn't mean me any harm. It was a nice, it was an energy that was trapped here in this realm. And it didn't fully cross over, but it didn't mean me any harm. And when it came to me, it it came to me because I was doing energy on them and they were around, this entity was around somebody that I was doing light work on, and it used the energy that, because I was working on this person energetically, this person wasn't physically with me, this was done in the middle of the night, didn't even know I was doing the work at that moment, and this entity was there, saw me do the work, and then came to me and started to have a conversation with me. And it was such a fascinating experience because the entity was trapped, but was able to tell me, she said, your son loves you very much. And I was like, yeah, that's interesting. And I said, which one? And it said all of them. But the interesting thing about this was that when it was talking to me, it was showing me an image of a kitchen. And in the kitchen, there was all this food around, but all of the food was spoiled. I couldn't eat it. But again, it wasn't, that was just letting me know that was a metaphoric representation of the level of communication that I was getting. So I knew I was dealing with a spirit who was um of a third dimensional, fourth dimensional level. And how do I know that? Okay. So the message that she gave me was a loving message. Low vibrational energies, entities, they don't want to talk to you about love. They want to pinprick your weaknesses. They don't care if you love something. So an entity who is trapped and means you no harm is 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 okay with talking about love. Now, what I will tell you is that you do want to help this spirit cross over. It is trapped and you do want to help it. And I did help her cross over. She did leave, she did cross over, and that was effective. But my point here is that when I felt that energy and when she showed me these images, they did not feel very good, but that's just the communicational level. You guys know I do a lot of work with the communicational level that she was communicating from. You guys know I do a lot of work with children. Um, I work with kids that see all kinds of crazy stuff. And we as a society haven't come to the point yet to where we are accepting of these images, knowing that these children are are truly seeing things. And some of them are seeing really not good things. But if we are not accepting and we just dismiss them and kind of like push them off, and we don't really help them understand what it is that they're seeing and then help them understand how to overcome that, to raise our vibrations to get to another level so that we don't get to see that, then we're missing the point. And here's a for instance. I had a child before. His mother reached out to me. He was seeing dead teachers walking in his school. He was seeing, if he was playing basketball at night with his friends out on the playground, he would see dead people walking around with gunshots, blood all over them, but they were just walking. He would see, he would hear growls at night in his room. So what was happening in this situation is he came into this world already open. His third eye was open, but low vibrational entities were pinpricking him. So they were using low vibrational images and energies to try to get him to lower his vibration so that they could get into him. Now we got him to the point where he vibrated so high that it didn't even matter anymore. He wasn't seeing any of these images. All of it went away. But that's where we are failing to understand that sometimes, because he was feeling so much sadness, he was feeling the energy in addition to seeing it. And it was affecting him greatly. And us as a society aren't, I mean, his mother intuitively was so brilliant knowing to go to a medium for help. And we did help him. And years later, she will still reach out to me saying he's so good now. And he's not seeing anything like he used to. He's more positive. He will go out at night. He doesn't see anything in his schools anymore. He was to the point where he didn't even want to go to school anymore. He didn't want to play it. He would not go out at night. But now he's doing all that stuff and he's doing very well. But some people in our society have been dealing with this for a long time, and we have not yet learned how to help them. And that's what this podcast is all about, understanding that the communication that we get is felt. We're talking about feelings right now, is felt in different ways. People that have anxiety and depression could be potentially picking up on, because feelings are the first uh, gift that develops, could be feeling spiritual beings from another realm, but lower in that realm. So they're feeling third and fourth dimensional presences with them, and they're feeling it through anxiety. There was one time, well, actually a lot, where I will channel for somebody. And as I'm channeling, I can feel that if it's a human spirit that has crossed over, there are some times when I can feel all that anger and rage that they had. I was channeling for this one woman who lost her son, and her ex-husband was a very not nice person. And her son channeled through me a lot, but she asked about the husband, and the husband popped in like that. When he came in, all that anger and rage came with him, and I could feel it all. And he cursing up a storm, F this, that. And I mean, he just went off, but all that energy was felt. Now, people that are not yet open to their gifts, or not necessarily aware of them or knowing that they're even open, could feel all that anxiety, because the spiritual realm knows already your energy. They know if you're open or not, even if you don't. That's why I say you are always getting communication. It's just a matter of knowing it or choosing to begin to work with it, to raise your vibrations, to change what kind of information or what kind of entities or energies are working with you, which you can do. So, yes, as different feelings. So we talked about vibrations on different sides of your body, male, female, um, uh, maternal versus paternal. And let me see some other sensations there. Oh, we talked about the heaviness all over your body, of a low vibrational entity that you feel. So there are so many different facets to all of these different forms of communication. Now, the next one is telepathic communication. Here's another one where, again, the level of communication you're getting to, people will talk about all the times. I'm hearing voices and I don't know where they're coming from. Like low vibrational entities are trying to get into people, and we just don't understand it. Now, I apologize. I don't mean to talk about people that are suffering as a result of this communication. I know a lot of the people listening to me now understand that spirit is communicating with us, and you guys are coming from a higher perspective, but I do want to bring it out, to bring it to your attention, that some people don't understand that they are getting spiritual communication and don't know how to rise above it. So therefore it affects them in a much different way, because they are receiving such low vibrational communication. Telepathic communication. Telepathic communication is happening to a lot of people. Obviously, me. When I channel, I am receiving telepathic communication. That is all I'm doing, is just repeating it as it's coming in. And a lot of people will misinterpret or not understand what's happening when they start getting these thoughts. Thoughts will just start popping up into your head, and they get hung up on them. Now, because they don't understand necessarily what's happening. Those that are receiving communication telepathically, you're just going to have like names or dates or situations or sentences that are just popping up into your head, and you're like completely lost as to what's happening here. What I will tell you is that if that starts happening, take a moment to step back from yourself for a second, just to close your eyes and begin to observe what is happening. And at that moment, call in your guides, call in Archangel Michael, call in Jesus, and have them help you. Call in your channeling guide, have them help you raise your vibration, so that and setting the rules of only working with higher dimensional beings that are here for your highest and greatest good and walk in God's light. Once you do that, you should be able to discern when telepathic communication comes in. It's pretty, um, it's pretty, it's, I would say it's pretty easy to know that, okay, my thought just changed to something else. I'll give you, for instance, one time I was making, I was walking out of a convenience store, and out of nowhere, my cousin who passed away, her name popped up into my head. Now, once, if you are not thinking about something, it wasn't just conjured, and we talked about conjured energy and not conjured energy. I was walking out of a convenience store 7 o'clock in the morning with my family. We were on a trip, and my cousin's name popped up into my head, and then I knew immediately, okay, she's here, because it wasn't conjured by anything. Once that happened, um, she started to channel through me. So, or well, once I got her name, I jumped into my car and I went into a meditative state, and she started to talk to me. And that's something that I recommend all of you do. If you get something suddenly, you can communicate, obviously make sure it's for your highest and greatest good, and then see what else comes up. But and just like the others, that's a representation of telepathic communication. But just like other communication, some is literal, some is a representation. I'll give you, for instance, there. When you're receiving telepathic communication, when what they say versus what they don't say hold equal importance. Here's an example. I was channeling before the Super Bowl, the most recent Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles in it. And they came in and they said, this is all. They said the Eagles will win. Now, obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles were in the Super Bowl. So my mind could immediately go to, oh, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. But, and I told my wife this after it happened, I was like, I told her, this doesn't, I got to be careful here because they didn't say the Philadelphia Eagles. That's important because what I do know is that bald eagles are making a comeback off the endangered species list and are winning right now. So that is very important to understand terms that they are using versus are not using. And but again, you do not want to get wrapped up in thinking. You want to get wrapped, you want to know the answer will be revealed when it's meant to. And you really want to be in that space. It's important. So if you notice that they tell you something, but you notice that you didn't get all the information, no, it's going to come. And be at peace with that. No, that's part of the journey, and the journey is everything. The journey is so important. So awesome. That is really, and I don't mean to end abruptly here, but that really is what I want to talk to you guys about. Hopefully you have learned a little something from this podcast, and please reach out to me if you have questions. If I can help you in some way, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. I do want to let you guys know that I do want to I want to have a gathering where you, me, like-minded people come together, and we have almost like a meditation visual, like almost like a prayer visual, but it's a meditation where we walk through and we bring light into this earth and really help this earth rise in a peaceful way, and bring as much love and light that we can muster in an afternoon or a late morning. So just to give you guys a heads up, I really plan on having that within the next month or two. And I'll put out some more information about it, but I want you all to be aware that it's coming. And I think this world really needs it right now, and we can help, very powerfully help this world. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. I will channel for you all real quick, see what they have to say. And with that, I am grateful. Thank you. Oh, I do want to also say one last caveat to all this. What happens is meant to happen. Um, don't ever, don't ever. This realm is a school. We're here to learn, and we can't get wrapped up in low vibration. Low vibration only shows us what we need to heal. So it's never anything to fear, because they only use things that we are healing as a means to get into us. So once they show you what you need to heal, then go heal it. And they have no in. So there's never a reason to fear. And I am grateful for you all. Thank you, my children. We are here. Pleased we are by your presence, and grateful we are for the messages that have been given to you all today. You are accurate in your thoughts, all of you listening to here today. The beauty in your minds is very important, and the positivity that you hold so dear in your heart is crucial when you are beginning this journey, my friends. Enoch speaking. Your thoughts, as we tell you now, guys, I can see 1111. Your thoughts, as we tell you now, are important in the sense that your positivity, the positivity that is held within your thoughts, is crucial to yourselves and the vibration at which you hold for so many. Be very diligent in your positivity and love that you hold for people, for all people. And we do say this with true intention, all people. The communication that you hold within your heart, within your mind, the thoughts that are positive are vital to your success in raising your vibration to a level at which ascendant masters, light beings, light messengers can all communicate with you, my children. There are entities that walk this realm that are high in vibration and looking to assist all of you, but it must be a meeting in the middle, if you will. You must raise your vibration to a level, to an attunement that is at a level at which entities that are for your highest and greatest good can then come and work with you. Your low vibrational thoughts will not assist in this process, and therefore we are grateful for you understanding this. We ask you now to be very diligent in your positivity and love and your conscious thoughts of high vibration, so that the love may be the true focus of your mind, and thus your vibrations all rise, and the entities from above, from the higher realms, can thus interact with you and communicate with and through you as well. Your communication and the level at which you are working with it are vital to each other. What it is you desire and what it is you are looking to achieve are all dependent upon the vibration at which you carry with you. And this we are grateful for. It is very important to be aware of such vibrations that you hold within you and make adjustments where needed. Inventory, introspect your own vibrations and allow for them to rise as they should. And for this, we are grateful. Your peace is dependent upon it, and the communication that you receive will benefit you greatly if you can raise your vibration. This is not to say that low vibrational entities cannot or will not be able to communicate with you. You do reside in a dense world, dense realm. However, the truth that is held within your heart will raise you to a level at which you cannot be affected. And for that, we are grateful. Stay true to who you are as a loving being, and know, as Christopher has indicated, that you are of God's light, and that nothing that is and walks within God's light can be warded from the light, should you so choose to accept it fully. And for that, we are grateful. Enoch speaking. Thank you, Enoch, very much. And thank you all for listening. Please, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I have changed all my information as well. So If you guys used a method before to communicate with me via phone number or email, all that has changed. If you go to my website, open2energy.com, open2energy.com, TO2 energy.com, you will find my new email and communication methods. And I look forward to hearing from you all. Take care and have a great day.